Let's talk about a little bit how we work with individual values in any of these 5 attributes. So again, at this point, we know that we can change height, width of an element or a block element, and also we can change its padding, its border, and also its margin. So there are different ways to assign values, and that's what this video is about. So first of all, I'm going to create a rule for an H1 here. And if I do, for example, width, right? And then I do, for example, 90%. What I'm telling the H1 is use 90% of your parent element, or 90% of the space that is available in your parent element. In this case, if I come here and I inspect the element, you will see that this value will change. If you notice here, the value is going to be changing here. So here, as I make the screen bigger or smaller, that value is going to change. So basically, this value on H1, 90%, is going to change depending on the size of the screen. Okay? That's, as we saw last week, that's a relative attribute. I can also use absolute values. So I can do with 500 pixels. And that's okay too. Now, the problem with that is that because I haven't set the value for my main or the body element, it's going to look like a little weird in terms of, you will see here that if I move this a little bit, if I start making the screen smaller, this is not going to basically accommodate the website. So the title is just gonna be like that. So that's a problem. Okay. Now we're gonna keep having this problem in this particular chapter. So just bear with me here. So again, I can set values, either absolute values, or I can set relative values, and that's okay. Now, the main thing is that you need to start setting values from the parent element, of the highest parent element, and then go inside your tree. In this case, I'm going to set values for the body element. So, body element, I'm going to do a width. And most of the time, when we work with kind of like absolute values, we want to make sure that we are using the right pixels for screen resolutions. So in this case, there is a lot of studies that people have done, and basically, if we create a body of 960 pixels, basically that will fit in almost every screen. Right now, it's not gonna fit in phone screens, but when we are designing websites for desktops, that will fit. So again, I created a width, body element of a width of 160. So if I inspect this, you will see that now my value for the margin for my body is 160. If I make this bigger, you will see that actually, there you go. The body element has 160, and that's cool. So let's keep going. What I'm gonna do, and what are the techniques that you can learn right now from here, we're gonna center the body element, which is fairly common to do this. So to center the body element or any block element, what you have to do first is set the width. So basically that's what we did. And then the second part of this is set a margin. Now, margin can have, you can provide one value or pass one value. You can pass two values, or you can pass four values. So that sounds complicated, but it's not that complicated. When you pass one value, for example, I'm gonna do 30 pixels. What you are actually passing is a value for the four. So if I go here and inspect, you are passing the same amount or the same value to the four elements. So top, down, left, and right. Okay. So again, you're passing the those values. You're passing the value for the top, to the bottom, to the left, and to the right. So sometimes we want to do that, and that's completely fine. Now, you can also pass just two values. In this case, I'm gonna keep my 30 pixels, and then I'm gonna pass another value. I'm gonna do 50 pixels. Now, I want you to notice this. It changed a little bit too. What does it mean when I pass two values? When I pass two values, it means, so I'm gonna inspect the element, and we're still working on the body element. The first value that we pass, the 30 pixels, that's top, bottom. So basically we are passing one value used for the top at the bottom. So again, CSS understands when you have just two values, the first one is going to be assigned or applied to the top and the bottom of the element, and the second value is going to be applied to the left and right. Just keep that in mind. Third way is to actually assign different values to all sides. And this is where it gets a little bit messy. Why? Because it's go clockwise. So basically my first value, if I have four values, is gonna be for the top. The second value is gonna be for the right. The third value is gonna be for the bottom. And the fourth value is gonna be for the left. So if I do 30 pixels, 50 pixels, 100 pixels, and I'm gonna do 200 pixels. If I come here and inspect my element, at this point I don't really care like what I see on the screen. I just want to see the body element here in this box modeling box. You can see top 30 pixels, left 50 pixels, just like here, right? Third value, 100 pixels, bottom 100. Third value, 200 pixels to the left. There is another technique that you can pass three values. I personally don't use that because I feel sometimes it gets confusing. So basically, I will recommend you to use these three ways. You can pass one value that is going to be applied for the four sides. You can pass just two values, which is going to be applied for the first value is going to be applied to the top and the bottom. And then the second value is going to be for the left and the right. Or you can pass four values, which is going to be basically for each side. Now, with that being said, that rule not only applies for margin, also applies for padding and also for border. Just keep that in mind.